So I had something happen yesterday that just got me to thinking, and y'all know me, when I'm thinking, that's a little dangerous because I get these thoughts that how to tie that in, or it just comes to, wow, that's a good lesson for me and for others. So anyway, a few months ago, Sherry works from home. She's got an office set up. I do a lot of this when I'm home, graphics and getting worship graphics ready for the college gatherings. So we use the internet and Wi-Fi in our home a lot, obviously, like most people. But it was really slow. And so we thought, man, we need to upgrade to whatever we could afford, what we can. We called, we did that. So we upgraded to the next tier, whatever. And we could tell minimal difference, but we thought, okay, well, this is what it's supposed to be. So let's go with it. And so we did that. And it still wasn't that great. But we wanted to try, hey, what's going on here? So we called tech number and they said, it's probably your router. Because we told them what router we had. We'd had it for years and years and years and years. At the time we bought it, it was this big deal router. But it had been so old, and they said, here's what we're doing. If you come in, you can get this certain kind of small, new, advanced router and a couple extenders that look the same, but they just extend your Wi-Fi. So we said, we'll try it. Speaking of trying it, today I'm going to try never had this one. This is the Embargo by Alec Bradley. The Embargo. Got a little, they call that a pigtail on top. Called a pigtail. So anyway, we said we'll try it. So I went down there and got the router and a couple extenders. Got home, set them up. Again, minimal help. So, but we didn't really know that. Like it was a little better than what it was. So any improvement to us was a good improvement. So I said, well, let's go with it. So we continued using that, and part of the setup of that, I had to download an app, and within the app it had a speed test. So I would run speed test. It looked good to what I could tell for the level that we were on, but it was still kind of seems like we would lose internet every now and then. There were dead spots around the house, like I couldn't do these videos out here that well. So anyway, this kept on for months, and we didn't know any better. We thought, well, this is what it's supposed to be. Like, we signed up for this one thing that we knew about, and this is it. This is what that's supposed to be like, because we didn't know any better. So this past month, it really started lagging, and we called the tech number again and said, listen, not sure what's going on, but here's the situation we're running in. We're dropping internet. We have dead spots. And he said, what router and extenders do you have? And we said, a few months back we had gotten this certain one that you guys were providing. They said, yeah, we've had to recall those. We've had a lot of problems out of those. Come exchange it for the next one. It's a lot better. It's more reliable. So we said, absolutely. So finally we thought that was the problem. That was the problem. So I went and exchanged the old router and extenders, got the new ones. Got it set up. Everything looked good. Within a week, the extenders kept going off. Like 2 or 3 times at night, it would just go off, take about 5-10 minutes later, and they'd reconnect. So it was just this ongoing thing. And even that one had an app too. And I would run the speed test. And the speed test, here's where we get good. Stay with me. Okay. Post embargo. I see you. So the speed test that I would run, the download speed was 98 and the upload speed was 95. So I thought, man, 98 out of 100, we're close, but maybe that 2% is really what we're missing. Maybe we should be right at 100 or the upload 95, like those few that we're missing. So again, we called for help and said, listen, man, it keeps going out. This is what he said. Yeah, I see the notes that what all has happened past 6 months. He said, I'll send a tech out there tomorrow. He should be able to figure it out. So the tech guy comes. The tech guy cometh. He said, run your speed test for me. So I ran the speed test and he gave me this look like, is that it? And I said, yeah. I mean, that's what we've gotten. It's what it's kind of been consistent at, up or down, maybe a point or two or whatever. So he looks at me and he's like, no, that ain't it. I said, let me go check some things out. So he goes outside, comes back in. There's a little place under the house. Looks at that and he said, listen, you haven't, this wire was probably here when y'all bought the house, correct? And I said, yeah. And he said, it's really old wiring and it's got a couple of spots in it, I think 3 or 4 spots, that if it gets, the wind blows or it gets a little drop of rain or snow or cold, like you're not getting connected the way you should. He said, let me rewire it and it should be different than what you think. And if it's not, then I'll continue to figure it out. But we work from the inside out, start with the wiring in your house, and then we'll work our way back to the electric company. He said, but let's start with this. I said, great. You're the technician. You know what's up. So he spent maybe 10 minutes rewiring. The guy was awesome. He was so good. So he comes back in and says, Mr. Cross, run that test again. Y'all, I run the speed test and the download speed is 986. 986. And the upload speed was 952. 952. Like I thought we were running on a 100 scale and we were close to it. Like we were doing good. And the whole time we were running out of 1,000 scale and we were in the 90s. I didn't know any better. So I thought, this is what it's supposed to be. Little did I know. And then the tech guy said, yeah, that's where I'd like to see that. Now you're running at the level you're supposed to be. He said, and by the way, the router and extenders that you got, realistically with your property, you should probably get away with the router and maybe 1 extender. You don't need 3 extenders. So I got the extenders because we were losing so much. I thought maybe it's just not connecting the way it should. And he said, I totally understand, but just try it with just 1 and the upstairs, possibly 1 up there. He said, really, you probably just need 1, but I would have 1 and an extender just because the way your layout's set up. Y'all, when he had left, we could see an immediate difference. Like Sherry went back to work in her office. She's got a couple of different screens and her phone. She's like, this is so fast. I had went to the other room, turned on the TV, put it on 4K, which we'd always been 1080. Just everything was so different, so much smoother, just instantaneous. Automatically could see a difference in everything Wi-Fi related in our home. Now, why am I telling you this? Because what hit me after a few minutes of thinking about that was I've lived the majority of my life that way. I've lived the majority of my life listening to the experts tell me I was too small. Because I was living on a scale of 100, and when they said you're too small, that took off a point of my ability. You're not smart enough, that took off a point of my ability. You're not this or that, or you're not equipped or skilled in this area, that took off a point of my ability. So I thought, man, I'm doing what God's created me to do, doing the best I can. I'm at a 94, 95 out of 100. I'm living the life. I'm pretty good. And I meet people every day that live that way. Until I told you the story. If you haven't seen it, go watch my God's Own Gump story about my educational struggles. And I met a lady named Barbara Holbrook. She was my expert technician, like the guy came in, and really opened up things in me that I didn't even know existed because I was listening to everything else in the world. I was listening to everybody tell me their expert opinion of me and my ability and my purpose instead of somebody that knew what they were doing, instead of somebody that knew the way I was wired. And when the wire got changed through Barbara Holbrook, man, I realized I'm not living out of 100, I'm living out of 1,000, and there's this much of my life that's working. And she opened up doors that I'm still trying to upgrade and level up to, but my intellect and my spirituality, everything immediately, the bandwidth was open for God to show me something different. And I think the same is true for you. The same is true for young adults. Like, because we don't know any better, we listen to things and information that are just not reality. And I think that the Word says something about that. And this is the verse that I want to share with you today because of my Wi-Fi experience. This is Romans 12, verse 2. Do not conform any longer to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will. Y'all, that absolutely, like, we are so conformed to our culture, to our society, of what it says and how we're supposed to live. And these are the trends, and how we're supposed to use our technology, and how we're supposed to do this and that, and how we're supposed to live financially. And we need to be renewed or rewired to see the whole bandwidth of what God has for us. Like, unless you're getting into this and realize, man, this is the truth that I want to live from. This tells me I have purpose. This tells me that the way I'm wired may be different than other people, but God did the wiring. Like, God is the technician that could come say, listen, that ain't it. Like, I didn't create you just to experience this. And you're believing the lies that are produced in your own head and by other people, so much so that your bandwidth and your speed and everything going on isn't what I designed. Come on, sit on that one for a minute. Like, are you honestly experiencing God's best? Or are you believing lies? Because you've conformed to everything in our society. You've conformed to just fitting in, to just doing it the way we're supposed to do it, supposedly. I believe with all my soul that you were created for greatness, that your purpose is beyond what you can imagine. I believe that. No, is life going to be perfect? Are you going to go through life without bumps and bruises and power outages? No. But in the storm, in the chaos of your life, and in the chaos of everything going on, there's a Christ that gives hope in the middle of the storm that says, hey, I'm with you. I got you. This is part of it. We'll go through this together. With all the power, with all the bandwidth, with all the creativity, all the intelligence that God has to offer. Through the renewing, rewiring of your mind. Do you really let God renew and rewire your mind? Because the only way you can do that is to study His Word, to be putting in good things into your mind. And I would challenge you, man, go listen to Chip Ingram, Living on the Edge, as your daily devotion. Go listen to Tony Evans. Go do that. You got questions? Go to gotquestions.org. Like, tap into great things for your mind. Like, get a daily walk Bible and honestly, consistently commit to go through it for 1 year. Rewire, renew your mind so that you're not running on a 94, 95, 98 out of 100, because that's what the world tells you, but really you're living at a 96 out of 1,000. Like, is that what life feels like? When you find out, wait a minute, I'm not too short, I'm not too dumb, I'm not too this, I'm not too that. I'm wonderfully and gratefully made for purpose. Let's go. Let's go to 1,000. Let's see what God can do if we allow Him to renew and rewire our mind. Like, listen, we're almost starting 2025. Right there's your challenge for 2025. God, I want you to renew and rewire my mind, expand my bandwidth of living so that you can expand everything that I never dreamed possible or imagined. And all the bad things that come along with that, God, that you walk through those with me as you promised. So anyway, my Wi-Fi's fixed. Is your Wi-Fi fixed in your life? I love y'all and I mean it, and I love you enough to tell you the truth that most people aren't living to the capacity that God wants them to, and it's decisions that we make and things we do to ourselves. I did, and I still am. But knowing that there's more than what this world has to offer, man, I don't want to live there. I want to see what God's got and go through that. I hope you do too. I love you guys. I mean it. Go make it a great day.